The year is 2019. I would be 14 years old. I went to the movie theaters with my cousins to go see this movie called Dragon Ball Super Broly. I was a huge Dragon Ball fan at the time, and I still am, so I was really excited to go see this movie. And when I saw it, I loved it. From the story to the characters to the fight scenes. But the thing I loved most of all was the animation of everything in that movie. Right then and there, I realized that one day I want to open an animation studio. And the reason why that was ingrained to my mind is because I saw just how beautiful animation can truly be. I've watched animated projects in the past like TV shows and movies, but I never really took the time to actually immerse myself in its animation until the Dragon Ball Super movie. I mean, the Gogeta fight alone, I would watch in 8th grade repeatedly every time I stepped into class. And I would start to learn about animation breakdowns and behind the scenes of animation itself from many projects. But there's one thing on my mind, one lingering feeling on my mind when it comes to animation in the West, and that's whatever happened to 2D animation, and why isn't it presented over here in the West like it is overseas? As I grew older, the question kept persisting, kept coming forward to me. And as I got older, I kept getting my answers. And those answers did nothing but frustrate me. Which leads me to the video we have today. Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is James and today I'll be talking about why 2D animation is so important to the animation industry. For so many years, we barely get any 2D films nowadays with only small breadcrumbs coming in every now and then. And even when it does come out, they barely get marketed to ever appeal to a wider audience, which is why today I'll be talking about the history of animation, how it started to fizzle out, and why it's super important to the animation industry. So if you like what you see here, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe because this channel is made for me to yap about every single one of my hyperfixations. And if you enjoy that, you might enjoy all the other things that I have hyperfixation on. With that being said, 2D animation. If you are a part of the animation industry or a part of the animation fandom, you would know that 2D animation has been here since, well, forever ago. But how long is forever ago? Well, let's take it all the way back to 1906. Now, the reason why we're going all the way back to 1906 because this is where the first animation was ever created, that being humorous faces of funny faces. It starts out with someone drawing on a chalkboard and then it transitions into this sort of stop motion animation, kind of making it look like an animatic. Then in 1908, a French short animated film called Phantasmagorie would be known as the first traditionally hand-drawn animated cartoon. It showed off just how good animation can truly be. So one day someone had an idea, a big idea, to have a sort of mascot for entertaining others with 2D animation in itself. That character was Gertie the dinosaur. Yo, dumbass thought it was Mickey Mouse. You idiot! In 1914, Gertie the Dinosaur was created and was known as the first character with a distinct personality compared to all the previous animated projects. And at the time, it was probably a big deal. But Gertie the Dinosaur wouldn't get to icon status just like this next character. A character that was widely known by people and became very popular because of their personality and their charm. That character is Felix the Cat. You thought it was Mickey Mouse again? Got 2 for 2, bitch! In 1919, Felix the Cat was created by Pat Sullivan and Otto Messimer. God, that is the oldest name I've ever heard in my life. And he was created during the silent film era, where you had to let your actions speak louder than your words. And apparently, Felix the Cat was the most popular animated character in that era. And the shorts were so good that he ended up becoming the first ever cartoon mascot to gain worldwide appeal appeal and popularity, paving the way for many other cartoon mascots. But as we all know, as time went on, his popularity started to fade, and most people probably don't even know who he is anymore. But we're not here to talk about that, because our next character comes from this exact same era, the black and white era, and that character would be... You know, I'm not even gonna laugh at you this time, because at least you were kinda close. That's right, the first son of Walt Disney, Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, was the mascot for Universal Pictures, and man was he popular. So popular, in fact, that Disney took great pride in the work that he was doing with Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. But sometime later, Oswald would be taken away from Walt Disney alongside all the animators that worked on Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. Left bitter with nothing else, Walt Disney, his brother Roy Disney, and Ub Iwerks got to work on making their own mascot. Walt Disney had the concept in his mind of a mouse who is optimistic and can bring joy to everyone that watched him, and Ub Iwerks would be the person to design this mouse character. And so, with Walt's ideas and Ub Iwerks' character designs, they finally landed on their character and named him Mortimer Mouse. Until Walt's wife told him that name was stupid, and she ended up giving him the name Mickey Mouse. See, we eventually got to Mickey. Mickey ended up becoming a national superstar across the world. America, Germany, Russia, Mexico, Japan. He was popular around the world. If there was no Mickey Mouse cartoons and films, people would throw a fit. Hell, they made a whole song about it. I'm not playing it here because I'm afraid of copyright. Like, if you want to see a whole talk about the history of Mickey Mouse, then just go watch a documentary called Mickey, the Story of a Mouse, which is on Disney Plus. Or you can watch it another way, wink wink, nudge nudge. But talking about Mickey's popularity will make this video way longer than I want it to be. So, with the popularity of Mickey Mouse and the Disney company rising to the ranks, Walt Disney had the most insane and brightest idea at that time. He wanted to make an animated movie. Everyone in the Disney company called him insane or a fool just for thinking of some sort of thing like this, because an hour-long animated film has never been done before. I mean, people outside of the Walt Disney Company were calling this animated movie project Disney's Folly, but that didn't stop Walt from working on this movie. He got the loan he needed to work on the movie, and after some time, they kind of went over budget and literally had to mortgage his own house in order to make this film as good as possible. And in 1938, Snow White released, and it was the best film of that time. This movie did wonders for Walt Disney and shot the company up to the high heavens, because this movie was more so focused on emotional storytelling than, well, storytelling. And Walt Disney himself wasn't even focused on the movie. He was more so focused on the crowd, because he knew that if the crowd had a reaction, he succeeded. And thus began the rise of animation and animated movies, with so many animated projects coming out of the woodworks after the creation of Mickey Mouse and this movie. So as you see, animation had its precedence within media itself, but this is a video talking about why 2D animation is important. So where's the part about its downfall? Well, if you wait, I can get to that part, because now we're entering a world of 3D. Now, 3D is nothing new to Disney at this time, as they would use it in their films like Black Cauldron, The Great Mouse Detective, Beauty and the Beast, and Aladdin. But they would usually use the 3D for more background features than the main features themselves. But soon, Pixar would rise as its own company, and they would make 3D animated commercials and 3D animated shorts just so that they can one day fund a movie in 3D. And they would get that opportunity and develop Toy Story. Toy Story was a smash hit in the box office and became the first ever 3D animated movie to appear in theaters. And after the success of Toy Story, Pixar would continue to make 3D animated movies, and they would gain many success from this. But what about 2D animation? Well, because of the popularity of 3D animation, a lot of people were starting to see 2D animation as outdated. I mean, Disney was still going strong with their Renaissance movies, and DreamWorks were releasing 2D animation movies as well, but they weren't box office hits. I mean, when we get to the 2000s, Disney is slowly starting to stop 2D animation in its entirety, to the point where they don't even want to market their 2D animated films anymore. Both Atlantis the Lost Empire and Treasure Planet suffered from this lack of marketing, and it begs the question, why would they even think about doing this? Well, that's because in 2001, DreamWorks released their first 3D animated movie, Shrek, and it did numbers in the box office, blowing any 2D animated Disney film out of the water, and Disney was seeing the writing on the wall. They tried to lessen their 2D animated movies just so they could push 3D animated movies themselves, and you can see that in their first ever 3D animated movie, Chicken Little, which is, in my opinion, very mid. Soon enough, everybody was pushing for 3D movies because it was cheaper and much easier to create, and that kind of made 2D animated movies kind of irrelevant. I mean, we still get them in TV shows, but when is the last time you would ever say, yeah, I've seen a 2D animated movie before? But then John Lasseter had the idea of releasing a 2D animated movie every 2 years and a 3D movie right after that 2D movie. The first project of this initiative was Princess and the Frog in 2009, and the movie, you could say it did well, but because it had princess in the title, it didn't really draw people in as much as it should have, which is why Tangled has the name Tangled instead of Rapunzel. But their second attempt for a 2D animated movie was Winnie the Pooh, and it went up against the very last movie of Harry Potter. This was just set up for failure. What the hell? So, you know how the story goes. After Wreck-It Ralph release, they just stuck to 3D animated movies. And from then on, all you ever saw was 3D animated movies. You couldn't see a single 2D animated movie ever. So that's the whole history and downfall of 2D animation. So why am I still continuing to talk about this? Well, because I have multiple reasons that piss me off that we can't see 2D animation anymore. My first problem is marketing. When it comes to 2D animation and marketing, they are like worst enemies, and it's mainly because of the people behind the scenes of the marketing for the animated film. My two biggest examples of this is Atlantis the Lost Empire and Treasure Planet. Atlantis was an amazing movie made by the Walt Disney Animation Studio, but Disney couldn't give a single damn about the movie itself because they would barely market it to their target audience, and it didn't really do well. And the same thing goes for Treasure Planet. They were literally shooting themselves in the foot to give them an excuse to not use 2D animation anymore. And even when John Lasseter tried to push for more 2D animated films like Princess and the Frog and the Winnie the Pooh movie, having a schedule where they would release a 2D animated movie every 2 years next to their 3D animated films the following year, the 2D animated films didn't do well because Princess and the Frog was not given the best box office despite being really good, mainly because the princess title being misleading, and like I said before, Winnie the Pooh went up against the last Harry Potter movie, so that was doomed to fail. And if you think that marketing for 2D animated films has gotten better, you are wrong, because raise your hand if you ever heard of a Looney Tunes movie, The Day the Earth Blew Up. That's right, you haven't, because Warner Brothers barely marketed this movie at all. The only reason why I know about this is because of YouTubers and the literal voice actor of Bugs Bunny telling me to go watch this movie. But by the time I found out about it, it was too late and I couldn't even watch the movie in my own theaters. And I had to sit through the fucking Minecraft movie because of it. So yeah, 2D animated films and marketing are worst enemies because of the people behind the scenes trying to shoot themselves in the foot saying, saying, see, this doesn't work, even though they don't really put in the effort to really market it. Another reason is that 3D animation is much cheaper to create than 2D animation is. And I can't really argue with this fact, as I've seen behind the scenes of animation in 3D, and considering all you need is like different models of the characters to portray their movements and facial expressions, while also moving the camera in your desired angle for the shot, I can see why it's much easier to animate in 3D than it is in 2D. But with the increasing budgets for 3D animated films, I begin to ask myself, are we sure 3D animation is cheaper than 2D animation? Because we're having $100 to $200 million budgets, or going over budget just for a simple texture or specific model that you want to use. I mean, it literally took 5 years for Across the Spider-Verse to come out, and that was mainly because of Hobie. And this kind of leads me to my next point, my final point, if I could be exact. And that final point is Wish. Okay, not the movie specifically, but more behind the scenes talks about Wish. You see, back in 2023, or was it 2024? I don't know. I barely care about this movie at all. The people working on Disney's 100th anniversary movie Wish did an interview saying that Wish was originally going to be a 2D animated movie, but they ended up switching to 3D animation because, let me check my notes, see if I'm right. Here it is. What happens in hand drawn is that you have the incredible hand of the artist, but also the limitations. I wish I was joking when I say this. Trust me, there are a lot of things I hate about Wish, and I want to talk about it one day. But this pisses me off the most, because you are celebrating 100 years of Disney animation, and you choose not to use 2D animation to harken back to the old films because it's limiting? Sure, 3D animation gives you everything you need to do in order to create an establishing shot, but so can 2D animation. I know this because you've done it with every single one of your movies in the past. And you want to know what pisses me off about this statement even more? You can literally look at any 2D animated TV show in the West and in Japan and see that that bullshit excuse is nothing but wrong. Shows like Danny Phantom, Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, One Piece, Naruto, Dandadan, Dragon Ball, especially the 90s animation. Have you seen that Goku and Cell fight? That is aged beautifully. Studio Ghibli's entire discography is just beautiful 2D animation. This argument is nothing but bullshit when you see everything in 2D animated form around you. It's not limiting, it's just you don't want to do it. And so that brings me to the question asked in this video: why is 2D animation so important? It's important because it's the origin of animation itself. Although yes, 2D animation still exists within TV shows, we barely see them in movies, like, at all. The last time we actually got one in theaters, the company couldn't give less of a shit about it, and probably none of you knew about it. Over here in the West, it's treated as nothing lesser compared to 3D animation, but overseas, it's treated with more care, more planning, in a way to make it more visually appealing. Overseas does a lot more to make 2D animation so much more captivating than what it was before. And it makes me think, if they can do that, why can't we? Why do we choose to abandon the origin of animation like it's something lesser compared to the newer thing? Instead of abandoning the roots, the thing that made animation what it is today, I believe 2D animation should be coexisting with 3D animation. You can have a 2D animation every now and then, a 3D animation now and then, or you can combine the two like you did with Spider-Verse, Puss in Boots, and every other movie after that. People may think 2D animation is limiting, but it really isn't. If you watch shows like Chainsaw Man, Jujutsu Kaisen, DuckTales 2017, you would know that these aren't limiting 2D animated shows. They are artists expressing their love for drawing in both facial expressions, movement, and fluidity. And to be honest, indie shows kind of prove that. Shows like Has Been Hotel, Knights of Guinevere, and Lackadaisy prove that 2D animation can be improved and can be special over here in the West. And the whole reason why I'm making this video is because, like I said in the beginning, one day I want to open my own animation studio, and I want that animation studio to celebrate all types of animation, whether that be 3D, stop motion, motion capture, and especially my favorite type of animation, 2D animation. So why do I think 2D animation is so important? It's because it's our origin, and our origin should never be forgotten. Well, that will be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it and got to see why 2D animation was so important to both the animation community and industry. And I also want to give a huge sorry for not uploading a video in February because I was going through a lot of mental stress on that month and I couldn't really bring myself to make a new video. So now I'm back and I'm hoping I could bring myself to make new videos in the future. If you like what you see here and want to see me talk more about my hyperfixations, then hit that subscribe button and I will see you guys in the next video. See ya.